So one of the things that Dune really gets right, one of many things, is, the first chapter in Dune. People who listen to Owen already know it, but essentially you have Paul Atreides, who is this heir to the Duke of House Atreides, and in comes the Reverend Mother, who he's never met before. She's this like old hag, basically, who has psychic abilities. She's head of a psychic order of like witch nuns who they can do things like sense truth, and they kind of can tap into realities of the universe. It's called the Bene Gesserit. And she is there to administer a test to him. She brings in a box, and Paul asks what's in the box, and she says pain. She has him put his hand in the box and puts a needle against his neck called the Gom Jabbar, the jab. Puts the needle against his neck and says, if you can withstand the pain in the box, I will know for sure that you are human. If you try to pull your hand out of the box, I'll kill you with the Gom Jabbar and you'll die an animal. So, of course, Paul survives. But the delineation that the Reverend Mother makes between animals and humans, she says the difference between an animal and a human is that an animal, when caught in a trap, will gnaw through its own leg to get out of the pain. So animals are rash, they're impulsive, they're just trying to escape the pain. It's like they don't have a choice in a way. They just have to avoid the pain. Whereas a human will choose to endure the pain so that when the trapper returns, they can have a chance to kill the trapper and remove a threat to their own kind. That's what a human would do. And I think about that definition a lot. And I think that baked into that definition is the idea of free will. But something about free will that I don't think everyone understands is that, by that definition, not everyone is born a human. Most people are born animals, and free will is something that you have to earn. So, in like rational emotive behavioral therapy, which is really just therapy derived from Stoicism, really, just the idea that events happen. What matters isn't the event; it's what you tell yourself about the event, like Epictetus and all these guys. So you really do have a choice what emotions you can feel. And I don't think everybody's fully aware of that. And I think that's why so many people are out there in the world living as animals without free will. Like, it's something that I'm just now understanding is that you can choose what emotions you feel, and you can choose not to let something bother you. You can choose a lot more than you might be conditioned to think that you can that you can. And they call it taking your power back. You hear that a lot if you're like in the black NPD TikTok. If you're like reading about abusive relationships and how to ascend, you need to take your power back. I just think it's interesting that Dune has basically the same idea, and the Bene Gesserit are essentially these devout witches who have control over their minds. And then, as it turns out in the story, Paul is like the only male Bene Gesserit. Um, but yeah, and I think part of that, for me anyway, part of understanding that you really do have power over your emotions is understanding that the things other people do, other people's behavior, isn't about you, it's always about them. And that's really hard to accept because, for one thing, like your ego wants to believe it's about you, but it's really not because first of all, you can't mind read. You don't know why. Like, that's why people always, when somebody says something offensive, oh, you're ugly, oh, you're whatever, they're like, oh my God, they're calling me ugly because I forgot to put my second shade of eyeshadow on today. Like it's always some like super personal thing that's just like an illusion in your head, you know? And that's another thing is that when abusive people say things to you, I've noticed this a lot over the years and I never understood why, but like a lot of the times the abuse that bullies will hurl at you has not, it really doesn't sound like it's about you. Like it's really strange and you kind of wonder where they're getting it from. But like back in the day, I used to take it super personally. It's because it's really not about you. Like other people's behavior is totally on them. And it's hard to accept that that's true. Um, but yeah, it's just, it's kind of like reaching the Catholic age of reason. You know, it's the point past which a child is responsible for his or her sins, because they know right and wrong. That's the age of reason. It's like, if you don't know that you have a choice, do you really have a choice? If you don't know that you have free will and that you can choose not to be bothered by something, that you can choose to laugh or to ignore something that would normally make you screaming, raging mad, if you don't know you have a choice, do you really have a choice? So I guess we're all in the age of reason now, if I did a good enough job explaining that.